want to know what's going to happen. And when nobody knows, especially like with the Christians, like I'm sure like everybody knows like there's a purpose on earth, like there's a purpose we're all here. But like the people that like were at our church, like they didn't know. And most of them had spent their whole life like being Christian and going to church, and they didn't know what the purpose of life was or what we were supposed to be doing here, or they had never even read the Bible before. And there's so many different versions of the Bible. Like when I tried to like read the Bible, I always got like different versions, different stories, different ideas, and it was exhausting and frustrating because it's like, what are we supposed to follow? So I was like questioning things, of course, which I think like every convert tends to like question things and then realize that everything you've followed for the last however many years is wrong. So I started studying Christianity at first, like studying, researching, trying to find out more about my religion, of course, trying to be a better Christian, because I felt like I wasn't a good person, and like I didn't have a relationship with God. Like to me, like God didn't exist. Like it was crazy. Like people would be like, oh, pray for God, or God will give you what, and I'm like, well, who is God and where is he? Because at that point, like, he didn't exist to me. Like he was make-believe, and people were just following something that was crazy. So yeah, so like and even though I felt that way, like I felt like God didn't exist, like he was just like a figment of imagination or something. Like at that other part, I felt like, like half of me felt guilty for not having a relationship with God, not believing in God, not believing in Jesus and all this. And most of the time, like I kept thinking, what's wrong with me? Why couldn't I have a relationship with God? Because I see people who were so close to God and prayed every day, and like kids who are younger than me and adults, they were like have like this whole relationship with God, like they can talk about him all the time. I'm like, well, why can't I have a relationship with God? And I was a little bit envious because it's always like, like it's like seeing like somebody saw something like you can't see, and you're like, well, you're either crazy or you don't believe a person, but like you want to believe. It's like hard to explain, but so I started researching more about Christianity and asking questions and attending church once in a while, but it felt like there was like this emptiness inside of me, and like everything just felt wrong. And we go to church and the preacher would be talking about Jesus and asking Jesus for forgiveness, and if you do something wrong, ask Jesus, ask your Savior for forgiveness. And it always struck me funny that she would be like, ask Jesus. I'm like, why can't I ask God directly? Why do I have to ask Jesus? So that got to me a lot. Like, what makes Jesus better than God? I never thought like Jesus was a better human being or a better whatever, more than God. That didn't even sit well with me. So I started questioning that, and then the more I read about Christianity, the more I felt so like odd, like awkward, like this couldn't be what was put here on purpose. Like this is so wrong. And so I started looking into like other religions, what other religions believe,